6, 200, 2, 1, 100, 1, 200. GDP 46, 8%. 2024, 1, 175. 2, 500. BIS, 3 2023 6, 000, 2024 6, 200. 3, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 5.
Listen closely. Consider the people who have wronged you, underestimated you, and tried to break you. Their power over you is about to vanish. This won't happen because you'll scream at them or engage in a pointless fight. It will happen because you're about to begin operating on a plane of existence they cannot even perceive. Let's be clear, this isn't about revenge. Revenge is a messy, emotional game, and raw emotion is a liability. It makes you weak. This is about something far more potent and dangerous: psychological dominance. It's the kind of power that requires no direct confrontation, unfolding silently and invisibly while they are left to wonder why their actions no longer affect you. I am about to arm you with 7 Machiavellian dark psychology tactics designed to fundamentally rewire your approach to every enemy, every manipulator, and every person who ever thought they could control you. By the time we are finished, the person you are now will be gone. In their place will stand someone untouchable. Let us begin. Trick number 1, the art of strategic silence. The first weapon in your new arsenal is one that costs you nothing yet will cost your enemies everything: silence. Most people mistakenly believe that power is loud, a clever comeback, a sharp insult, the verbal annihilation of an opponent. They couldn't be more wrong. True power lies in the disciplined ability to say nothing when everyone expects an outburst. When someone attacks, insults, or tries to provoke you, they are extending an invitation. They are desperate for your reaction because your response is their fuel. Your anger confirms their importance. Your defense validates their attack. Your words give them material to twist and use against you. But silence? Silence is a void they cannot fill, a wall they cannot scale. In your silence, you force them to sit alone with the ugliness of their own words and actions. It's in that deafening quiet that doubt begins to fester. That is when they begin to wonder if they have fundamentally miscalculated. The psychological torture begins, and you haven't lifted a finger. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. The one who speaks less controls more. Every word you utter is a piece of your strategy revealed. Every reaction is a card turned face up. When you remain silent, you become unreadable. You become dangerous. Your enemies will start asking questions they can't answer. Asterisk, why isn't he reacting? What does he know that I don't? Is he planning something? Asterisk, good. Let them spiral into their own self-made paranoia while you remain perfectly still. Practice this. The next time someone attempts to bait you, take a deep breath and offer them nothing. No expression, no defense, no engagement. Just cold, calculated silence. Watch how deeply uncomfortable they become. Watch as they overextend and overexplain, exposing their own weaknesses in a desperate attempt to get a reaction that will never come. That is the first crack in their armor, created not by force, but by your deliberate absence. And this is only the beginning. Trick number 2, controlled emotional detachment. Now that you grasp the power of silence, you must master its foundation: controlled emotional detachment. In the theater of conflict, your emotions are not your strength, they are your greatest liability. An enemy doesn't need to defeat you physically, they only need to hijack your emotional state, and you will proceed to defeat yourself. This is the brutal truth most people refuse to accept. They think their passion is power and their anger is intimidating. But passion is predictable and anger is blinding. A predictable, blind opponent is the easiest to manipulate. Controlled emotional detachment isn't about becoming numb or robotic. It's about becoming selective. You still feel everything, but you meticulously choose which emotions are allowed to reach the surface. You train yourself to observe an emotion, the heat of anger, the sting of an insult, without obeying its command. You become a polished mirror that reflects nothing back. This is what makes you terrifying. When your attackers see no response, no flinch, no wound, they are disoriented. Their entire strategy hinges on shattering your composure. When that fails, they are lost, and you remain in absolute control. Begin practicing this in low-stakes situations. When someone irritates you, pause before reacting. When you receive bad news, breathe before responding. Intentionally create a space between feeling and reaction. That space is the source of your power. The Machiavellian mind does not wear its heart on its sleeve. It entombs it behind a wall of calculated stillness. Let others rage and panic, exposing their vulnerabilities while you watch, learn, and wait. Your enemies can never defeat a man they cannot read. They can never manipulate a person who gives them no emotional material to work with. Become emotionally untouchable, and you will become strategically invincible. That is the cold arithmetic of power. Trick number 3, the mirror technique. Here is a psychological weapon so subtle, your enemy will never recognize it as it dismantles them. The mirror technique. When someone attacks or attempts to manipulate you, they are employing tactics they expect to work. You will no longer absorb their toxic energy. Instead, you will reflect it directly back at them, calmly, precisely, and without a trace of emotion. If they use indifference to make you feel small, you will return that indifference with twice the intensity. If they spread rumors, you will meet their noise with a silence so profound it speaks volumes. If they try to provoke jealousy, you will project a life so unbothered that their efforts become humiliatingly pathetic. You become their perfect reflection, and no one can win a fight against their own shadow. This tactic shatters their expectations. They anticipated a reaction, desperation, anger, defense. When you calmly mirror their behavior, you force them to confront the very ugliness of their own strategy, and it unnerves them to their core. They simply don't know how to fight someone who wields their own weapons against them. But the execution is critical. You must mirror with absolute detachment. The moment you inject your own anger or pettiness, you surrender the psychological high ground. This is not petty revenge, which is an act of desperation. This is recalibration. You are teaching them, without a single word, that any game they choose to play, you will play back with superior skill. Let them throw their stones. Let them launch their attacks. Everything they send your way will return to them with surgical precision, exhausting them as they fight their own reflection while you remain untouched, unmoved, and completely in control. Trick number 4, delayed response dominance. In the pursuit of power, speed is your enemy. The person who reacts instantly is the person who is being controlled. When someone provokes you or demands something, they expect an immediate response. They want to create a sense of urgency, and the moment you give in to it, you have ceded control. You have just shown them that they dictate your timeline. That ends now. Delayed response dominance is the art of weaponizing time by making others wait. When you fail to respond immediately, you create a psychological vacuum. Into that void, your enemy's anxieties will rush. They'll begin to question themselves. Asterisk, did he see my message? Is he ignoring me? Did I overstep? What is he planning? The longer you wait, the louder their internal chaos becomes, while you remain calm, operating on your own timeline. This is a fundamental distinction between the powerful and the powerless. Peasants react. Kings respond when they choose, how they choose, and if they choose. As Machiavelli advised, a prince must never be rushed by the impatience of others. The same is true for you. When you receive an aggressive message, let it sit for hours or even days. When someone demands an explanation, allow them to stew in the discomfort of your silence. When they try to pull you into a confrontation, walk away and address it later on your terms. This isn't about avoidance. It's about seizing control of the timeline. And timing is everything. A response delivered too quickly signals desperation. The same response, delivered after a calculated delay, projects power, measure, and intent. People will begin to understand that you cannot be rushed or pressured. You are training the world to respect your pace. Practice this with small interactions. Don't reply to every text instantly. Don't answer every call on the first ring. Build the muscle of patience until it becomes your default setting. The individual who controls time controls the entire psychological battlefield. Deny your enemies the privilege of fighting on their schedule. Make them wait. Make them wonder. Make them understand they have no power over you. That is true dominance. Trick number 5. Strategic information control. Information is currency, yet most people are bankrupt, giving it away for free. They overshare their plans, fears, and vulnerabilities, then act surprised when that information is weaponized against them. This is a mistake you will no longer make. Strategic information control is the ruthless discipline of curating what the world knows about you and what it will never discover. Every piece of information you release is a potential tool for someone else. Your goals can be sabotaged, your weaknesses exploited. Understand this. You owe no one access to your inner world. Not your enemies, and not even most of your allies. The Machiavellian mind shares only what serves a strategic purpose. If revealing a truth benefits you, reveal it. If concealing it protects you, remain silent. There is no moral duty to be an open book. Open books are easily read, studied, and ultimately predicted. You will be the book no one can ever finish. Now, this is where the strategy darkens. Information control isn't just about hiding things, it's also about actively feeding your enemies false confidence. You can let them believe they've uncovered your weaknesses when, in reality, you've planted decoys for them to find. This is misdirection at its most sophisticated. They prepare to attack a phantom version of you, while your true self remains shielded, protected, and ready to strike from an angle they never saw coming. Think of yourself as an iceberg. Let them see the small, predictable tip above the water and assume that is all you are. Beneath the surface, you are massive, dangerous, and utterly unknown. This is how you maintain psychological superiority without raising your voice. You will always know more about them than they know about you, and in any conflict, knowledge is the ultimate weapon. Practice this immediately. Stop volunteering personal information. Stop explaining your plans to those who don't need to know. Sometimes, their incorrect assumptions about you are a form of protection. Start asking more questions than you answer. Listen more than you speak. The person who holds the most information while revealing the least is, without exception, the most powerful person in the room. Keep them guessing. Keep them blind. Keep them confident they see the full picture when all they possess is a carefully crafted illusion of your own making. Trick number 6. Invisible boundary warfare. Most people announce their boundaries. They declare what they will and will not tolerate, and in doing so, they hand their enemies a detailed map showing precisely how far they can be pushed before facing a consequence. This is a strategic error you will never make again. You will engage in invisible boundary warfare. This is the practice of establishing limits that no one sees until it is too late, after they have already crossed them. You do not warn. You do not explain. You do not negotiate. You simply act. And when someone suffers the consequence of crossing your unseen line, they are left confused, destabilized, and deeply hesitant to ever test you again. Here is the psychology. An announced boundary is an invitation to negotiate, to test the edges. An invisible boundary has no edge to approach. There is only the sudden, cold shock of a consequence they never saw coming. This unpredictability is what makes you formidable. It forces others to tread carefully around you because they genuinely don't know what will trigger a response. For example, imagine someone consistently disrespects your time by canceling plans last minute. The average person would complain or explain their feelings. You will do neither. You will simply become unavailable. The next time they reach out, you are busy. The time after, you are busy again. No drama, no confrontation, no emotional outburst. Just a slow, quiet withdrawal of access. They will feel the loss and adjust their behavior, not because you asked them to, but because the consequences taught them to. Now, for the colder truth. Some people will never learn. For them, the consequence is not a lesson, it is permanent removal. You don't offer endless chances or have heart-to-heart conversations about growth. You simply erase them from your life. No drama, no closure, no apology. One day they have access to you. The next, they have nothing. They are left wondering what happened, while you have already moved on. Your boundaries are sacred, but they must also be secret. Let people discover them only by making the fatal mistake of crossing them. Let the consequence be their only teacher. Never explain, never justify, and never warn twice. The man who enforces invisible boundaries is the man no one dares to test, because testing him is a gamble with unknowable odds. Trick number 7. The long game mindset. Everything you have learned so far is meaningless without this final principle. This is the foundation upon which all other tactics are built. This is what separates temporary victors from permanent winners, the long game mindset. Most people are tragically reactive. They live moment to moment, responding to whatever is in front of them. Insulted today, they seek revenge this week. Challenged now, they need to win right now. This emotional, short-term thinking is precisely why they ultimately lose. They exhaust their energy on battles that don't matter and sacrifice strategic positioning for fleeting emotional satisfaction. You will not be like them. The Machiavellian mind understands that time is the ultimate battlefield. He is not playing for today's victory. He is playing a game that spans years, even decades. While his enemies burn themselves out on petty squabbles and instant gratification, he is quietly building power, resources, and a position of such unassailable strength that when the moment finally arrives, victory is not a struggle. It is a foregone conclusion. This is patience weaponized. When you stop needing immediate results, you become impossible to manipulate. Think about it. Your enemy's leverage, threats of immediate loss, promises of instant rewards, becomes useless against you. You don't need their approval today. You don't fear their threats this week. You are willing to sacrifice this small battle because you are focused on winning the war. This mindset terrifies opponents because they cannot outlast you. They will grow impatient. They will make mistakes born of desperation. But you can wait forever, and that knowledge will slowly break them. Here is how you cultivate this mindset. First, detach your ego from daily outcomes. Your worth is not measured by today's small wins or losses, but by the long-term trajectory you are on. Second, find satisfaction in invisible progress. Learn to feel powerful in the quiet discipline of preparation, not just the loud applause of victory. Third, study your enemies without engaging. Observe their patterns, learn their weaknesses, and catalog this information for future use. Fourth, protect your energy as your most valuable asset. The long game requires endurance. Be ruthless in choosing your battles. Not every provocation deserves a response. Not every enemy is worth your focus. Finally, remember this truth. Your enemies do not have your patience or your vision. They are playing checkers while you are playing chess. A chess master does not panic over a lost pawn. He sees the entire board, 10 moves ahead, and knows the game is not over until the king has fallen. Let them celebrate their small victories. Let them think they are winning. You know the truth. You are building something they cannot see, and by the time they realize what you have become, it will be far too late. You now possess 7 weapons that most people will never comprehend. Strategic silence, emotional detachment, the mirror technique, delayed response dominance, strategic information control, invisible boundary warfare, and the long game mindset. These are not mere theories. They are tools forged in the fires of Machiavellian wisdom and dark psychology. Use them wisely. Use them ruthlessly. And watch how the world begins to reshape itself around you. You are no longer the person who can be manipulated, provoked, or broken. You are untouchable. Now, I want you to make a declaration. Drop a comment below with one phrase, "I am the storm they never saw coming." Let that be your commitment to this new version of yourself. If this resonated with something deep inside you, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your transformation has just begun.